Good. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this meeting of the Temple City Council to conduct a workshop for Thursday, May 21st, 2015. The time is 1 o'clock. First item on the agenda is to discuss as may be needed regular meeting agenda items for the meeting posted for Thursday, May 21st, 2015. A couple of things of interest. The consent agenda item 4F, the professional services related to the demolition and new construction of the North End Baseball Complex, and item 4G, the professional services related to construction of the new deepwater pool at Lyons Junction Family Aquatic Center, are all really the first things from this from the Parks bond package. And the important thing to note about that, if I remember correctly, is that this gets it online to get them going as quickly as possible for next year.
That's the plan.
Okay. Regular agenda item 5. Mayor Pro Tem Schneider will abstain. Do we have any comments about that, or it's just
just
plans that
what it is actually some sewer surfaces that were left off the plans for right-of-way. I think it was in their right-of-way agreement that the engineer didn't know about, and they added some sewer services to one of the individuals that live on the street.
And we have a very short presentation if you desire one, but we really pulled it just for voting purposes.
Okay.
Something you might also say with that one is that portion of the roadway is going to be shut down from about was it June 8th for 60 days.
Okay. Anything else off the consent agenda or regular agenda that anybody wants to talk about? Okay. Item number 2, discuss the city's strategic plan to include FY 2015-2016 budget process and calendar and various strategic and budget-related policy issues to include but not limited to the receiving of presentations from agencies requesting community enhancement grants funding by the following. And we'll just go down the list like it's listed. Do we have the folks from Aware Central Texas here?
Mayor, the presentations, we actually have a few minutes before they get started, and we've got a short PowerPoint.
I'd love to see it.
Good. Set that up. I think, Brandon, is our first one at 1:30 or Ashley?
That's correct.
I was ready to get into it. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to jump the gun there.
All right. So, kind of kicking off what I would call we've had a series of retreats. We've had a series of meetings with department heads working on the budget, and now we're kind of getting into the more significant part of the budget amendment process. So today I'd like to just remind you of a couple things, kind of go again, talk about the mission, our vision, and strategic focus areas. Take a quick look at our calendar. Want to make sure that we've got some of those upcoming hearings and things that we need council participation on your calendar. Just quickly review our rules of engagement. Touch base on just highlight a few budget issues that have come up so far in this process, and then we'll spend a few minutes in setting up these presentations on the community enhancement grants that we have this afternoon. Again, this is our kind of our logo that has both our vision, our mission statement, and our target areas. Looking at the calendar, this is kind of looking backwards. For a city like our size, budgeting becomes almost a year-round process. So we began really back in January with the department head retreat that focused on the budget. Following that, early February, we had a series of pre-budget meetings with some of the 4 of the largest departments. We had a retreat with the council back in February on the 12th. We shared some information with executive leadership on the budget process and training on the 17th and so on. And you can see through March and early to mid-April, we had a series of budget sessions with each of the departments. So kind of one-on-one where we had a chance to review their request and ask questions and that kind of thing. Where we are today is, as I said, kind of the kickoff of the most intense period of the budget process. And with these comments today, I'm kind of opening that up, but we're scheduled from 1:30 to 5 to receive presentations from agencies in the community that are applying for community enhancement grants. A couple of highlights on that slide. You can see the city manager will file a budget, preliminary budget, for your consideration on June 26th. And going to the bottom of that page, on our calendar, our schedule, we've got adoption of the budget and setting of the tax rate at your August 27th meeting. So again, just reminding you of the rules of engagement that we've talked about are maintaining current services and service levels, but looking for opportunities subject to our fiscal policies and restraints to where we can to add or improve services that we think could improve the quality of life. We certainly want to preserve, protect, and develop our workforce. We're also looking in our budget process for opportunities to expand the tax base and economy, and then, of course, preserve and enhance our facilities and infrastructure. Those are our guidelines. Just kind of wanted to give you one slide that kind of big picture to tell you as we sit down with the departments and going through their requests, some raw numbers. What we're seeing in operational requests, and this is just general fund, is from an operational side, about $2 million, a little bit more than $2 million in requests for personnel, new personnel, and these are numbers are above and beyond our current budget or current levels of funding. New personnel requests of about $2.5 million, and this is a year, as you know, we try to look every other year at 1 year at general government or general fund employees, and then the second year or alternating years we look at civil service. So we've done a civil service salary survey this year, and I've got some slides talking about that. And again, the implementation of that would actually be in the 16 budget. So you do the survey, then you implement it in the following year. And so at this point, we know that that has to also come out of available funds, and at this point, that's still unknown. We're still analyzing that data. And so we've got those dollars and to work from based on the best numbers that Tracy has. We have, it looks like we have about $2.5 million to work with. So just doing the math, you can see that is challenging. We've got, obviously, just on that part of the equation, we've got more requests for more dollars than we've got identified as increases this year. On top of that, we have capital requests for about $17 million. Those traditionally come from either new dollars that can come from this 2.5 if you have available funds. But you've also adopted a policy that allows us to use fund balance for some of these things, and we have money available for capital, so that there is a separate source of funds for that. But the point of this slide is just to say, not surprisingly, you typically are going to have requests for more than dollars that you have, and that's what the budget process, that's what the challenges we have every year.
Jonathan,
Yeah.
add a quick
Sure.
comment on the $2.5 million of additional revenue with the rules of engagements to maintain the tax base. That $2.5 million, a majority of that is from growth in our sales tax, and the additional ad valorem taxes is again from growth in the base, not the tax rate or the maintenance and operation.
So just to, highlight a few of the things we've been hearing over the last month or so with these department head meetings. I want to just highlight those 5 things. Solid waste routes. We currently have 10 residential solid waste routes, and they serve over 23,000 customers. The last time we added a route, a residential route anyway, was in 2010, and we did that by actually shifting resources from a roll-off route that we had. And since 2010, we've seen about a 22% increase in customers. And the graph at the bottom kind of visually shows that the number of customers has continued to increase, and that means our trucks are out for longer portions of every day, and they're carrying a lot more weight. And there are also industry standards for, the number of routes, customers on a route, and we exceed those, and the number of is continued to increase, and that's reflected in some of the requests that we've got for both personnel and capital equipment.
That's twice a week, right? So we've got 10 routes servicing 23,000 folks. So that's 2,300 per truck per day, twice a week.
1 day recycling and 1 day garbage pickup. Again, another highlight, just kind of spend a little more time, civil service compensation study. As you know, we don't try to do those adjustments every year. So 1 year we focus on general government. This was a year we did general government and your council appointees. So this is a year that we have designated. Or next year will be the year that we'll designate to look at civil service, police, and fire. And these are kind of the steps in that process. We begin by establishing peer cities that we look at that we think are comparable. We collect data from those, and we try to evaluate positions. It's a challenging process because not everybody has the same positions, classifications we have. You have to kind of interpret that data, try to figure out which positions are most comparable to what we have. We analyze that data, compile a report, and then we make recommendations of what we're going to do for civil service salaries. The peer cities that we tried to select this year, we looked at population, their geographic proximity, taxable value, property tax rate, median household income, to try to find cities that we think are comparable. The 9 cities that we selected this year are Belton, Bryan, Cedar Park, Georgetown, Harker Heights, Killeen, Pflugerville, Round Rock, and Waco. Parks and Recreation, thanks to our successful bond election, we are seeing, beginning in fiscal year 16, some additional maintenance costs, and I've highlighted those there. So as the mayor alluded to earlier, we've got the design contract for the deep water pool at Lyons Junction and hope to have that in operation. So we're beginning to try to identify what some of those operational costs might be. Scott and White baseball, Northern baseball, Jefferson Park, Carper Park, Wilson football, all projects related to items that were approved by voters in our bond package. Every year we look at our 2 self-sustaining facilities, Salmon's Golf Links and the Summit Rec Center, and we'll be doing a follow-up workshop with you where we just focus on those 2 items. East Temple Community Development, just want to emphasize here that we'll be trying to leverage the use of CDBG funds to establish some community development programs that will help to implement our East Temple plan. And in particular, we're looking at funding a community development position with those funds, a neighborhood revitalization home improvement program, and financial inclusion program. Fire overhires and staffing, what I'm trying to emphasize here is we have about 117 sworn firefighter positions. The last few years we've tried to fund 3 overhire positions, and historically we do overhires in trying to, because there's a lag time, firefighters or police officers have to go to academies and go through a lot of training, and quite often field training programs, that kind of thing. We try to anticipate that and go ahead and overhire over the number of positions classified just to have those folks ready to go. That has worked well at times over the years, but in the last few years, at least in the fire department, what we're seeing is that hasn't really worked the way it's intended, that by the time those folks are coming online, they're really being used for operational purposes. And so just a change of strategy there is really where we're seeing that these three overhire positions are really serving to man equipment as part of their delivery of their mission and services. So we're looking to fund those as just three funded fire department. Some other, just emphasize a few capital items. Earlier, you saw the slide about the number of routes. One of the things we're seeing is not only are the routes longer, I had the chance about a week ago, you might have seen some pictures, to actually get out and drive 2 or 3 different kinds of trucks and talk to drivers and things like that. But certainly when we visited with Nicole and Lisa, one of the comments they've got is that the routes are longer, the equipment is probably wearing out faster, carrying heavier loads. They're just challenged sometimes to get the work done in the workday. So in the request, and what we're considering is, first of all, replacement of 4 trucks that are just probably, they're due for for replacement just because they've reached the end of their service life, probably sooner than they would have just because of the increased workload, but also adding 1 route, and so there's a personnel request associated with that and equipment, but 1 route, so 1 truck and 4 replacements, 1 new truck. In the fire department, we've got 2 major pieces of apparatus that are scheduled for replacement. And
That doesn't include, didn't we just purchase the used unit?
that
So
is
above and beyond that?
and one new one. So 2 replacement of existing and 1 new one. 3 additional patrol cars, just part of our ongoing process for the new officers and police, and a replacement public safety laptops. Again, an ongoing program for replacement of laptops for police officers. Just a few highlights, and again, we're kicking off the most intensive period of this, so we'll have a series of future workshops and try to tackle some of these items in more detail with you. Kind of set up the presentations you're going to see. Community enhancement grants. What is a community enhancement grant? They were formerly called Public Service Agency or PSA grants. It's a grant made to an outside agency or organization that helps the city leverage service delivery and funding levels. And they're typically in areas like transportation, social services, economic development, leisure services, and tourism and cultural services. What we're doing today is you're receiving presentations from the applications we've received. The source of funding for these community enhancement grants is the general fund, and in some cases hotel motel fund, but as you know, I think the hotel motel fund, those dollars are limited to what they can be used for. They have to be used for things that promote tourism or cultural attractions in the city. A separate item, just to not confuse the issue too much, is public service agency grants. Those are CDBG restricted, and you'll receive a presentation from those at a future council meeting. We've got that scheduled for June 18th. Going back to what you're hearing about today, in last year when we had this same day in presentations, we received requests for funding from about 21 agencies for over $738,000, and we were able to fund in the budget for this year 16 of those organizations for about $550,000. This year, we've got requests from 24 organizations, and for a total of about $1.1 million. It's an open application process, or organizations make presentations to the city council, city manager. Those presentations are optional if if their request is less than $25,000. One thing we are doing a little bit different this year is we also have a staff committee reviewing those requests and making recommendations. So in the past, it's been, you've heard the presentations, the city manager has listened to them. He's basically put together his recommendations in your budget. Once you receive that budget, you can revise those, but kind of introducing an additional step in there. Committee actually helped me with that process by reviewing those, making the recommendations. And from that point, it'll just be part of the budget, and then the council can revise, modify, review those after you receive the preliminary budget in late June. Presentation guidelines that we've asked for these agencies are to be included in their packet are presentation and additional materials that they may wish. They've asked to give a brief 10-minute presentation to limit their time to 10 minutes and give an overview of the organization, to describe the program for which the funding is requested and the services that they'll provide, describe the purpose of the program as well as the benefits of funding and the consequences if you cannot provide funding, what their alternative plans are, and again to describe both the objectives of their program and how they measure the effectiveness of those programs and their use of your funding. With that, before we get started, and we're in pretty good shape, I'll try to answer any questions you have. Ashley Williams, who actually oversees this program for us, is here, and if you have questions, I may defer to her on those questions.
Very good presentation. Council, any questions?
One quick question. So when this budget will be part of the voting for the whole budget
Yes.
process, so that'll be in August? Okay.
And then we'll get the
Yep.
We'll get the
You'll
copy
receive
at
a
the end of
budget
June.
in June, and you'll
Right.
have an opportunity
Right, but the final,
to comment on it
Right.
before
Okay.
then. Right.
All right, so I guess if we wanted to, we could get started a little early. That's why, I mean, unless everybody wants to just, wait. All right. Aware Central Texas? Is Aware Central Texas here yet? And then we might skip ahead. I see somebody from the Cultural Activity Center.
Brock Boone is making their presentation.
Man, but that's the best timing I've ever seen. Really good. We actually got it started a little early, and like I just said your name, that could not have been any smoother.
Wait in the hallway.
Cue the
Sorry about
Brock. Cue the Boone.
Sorry about that, guys.
No, it's
Perfect.
you have no idea how perfect it was. So
You ready?
absolutely.
Well, on behalf of the Cultural Activity Center, my name is Brock Boone. I thank y'all for y'all's time and allowing us to have this meeting about the Community Enhancement Grant. The mission of the CAC is to enhance the quality of life for Central Texas by igniting the interest and promoting the participation in the arts. We feel that we accomplish this by providing entertainment opportunities to our citizens and to visitors alike. The CAC is a unique facility. From the music and the theater productions that we offer on our stage, the art galleries that we have in the building, the relationships that we have with the schools, the summer camps and classes that we offer, the rental spaces that we offer to our residents and to businesses, we feel it is unique. For the youth in the community, we provide arts and education programs and hands-on programs for 14,000 TISD and BISD students. These programs are TEKS and Star Aligned. They offer theater programs, music history lessons, and stuff like that on stage. We also offer youth and theater programs to include Missoula Children's Theater, the Nutcracker performances like that. One of the things that we also offer are dance classes, after-school programs, not like the cities, but just classes, whether it's painting and drawing, clay classes, dance classes, those types of opportunities. We also offer diverse music programming for the citizens and then for tourism dollars. whether it's the Texas Music Series that we produce with artists like Michael Martin Murphy, Dale Watson, Bob Snyder, or bringing in artists like the Vienna Voice Choir, or with the help of the Central Texas Orchestral Society. These types of programs are unique in our area. About the community's partnerships, again, we work with the local ISDs to help produce their one-act plays. We work with service organizations to put stuff on programs on stage as well. These increase tourism dollars. They increase opportunities for people that are looking to move to Temple, something to do. We also offer residents these lifelong learning programs, whether it's a ballroom dance class or a clay class. It gives, again, just something for residents to do. Without the funding, these families would be underserved. We wouldn't be able to expose all the students, to expose all the art type programs to the students in our area. The number of onstage programs that we would be able to produce would be reduced. Again, this affects people looking at Temple as a place, as a cultural destination to want to move to. We've had a lot of recent accomplishments. One is the Icons and Transformation exhibit. This had over 3,500 people in not only Temple, but the state come to view this exhibit. There was 37 zip codes that were recorded. We feel this is pretty important to the area. We were the first organization recognized as a Temple Historic Marker. This past January, we had our first annual arts competition that had over 150 artists with 200 pieces of art that were judged. Finally, we're working on our 6x6 fundraiser that's scheduled to happen on June 6th. And I think some of you guys might have participated in that. Is that right? Or are participating? Very good. Community support is important to the CAC. You can see the list of the organizations that help support us, and in turn, you know, we try to align ourselves with many people in the community. And I think we have a minute to make this profile thing work. Can you help me with this? Very good, thanks. So this is a profile video that we produced. It's 3.5 minutes long, and it kind of gives a short story of the CAC. And there's audio too. Hold on.
A facility serving over 300,000 people in Bell County and beyond. Our mission is to enrich the lives of all Central Texas residents by inspiring exploration, involvement, and enjoyment in the arts. Using a fully equipped theater, the CAC hosts professional touring shows, concerts with world-class musicians, and community stage productions. Our goal is to have shows on stage every weekend. Our Texas Music Series presents some of the finest singer-songwriters and bands on the scene today, like Marshall Ball, Michael Martin Murphy, Ruthie Foster, Rodney Crowell, Eliza Gilkison, Dale Watson, and Bob Schneider. We also book jazz artists like Jeff Lofton and Black Red Black, and blues players like Guy Forsythe. We host the Central Texas Orchestral Society, who present classical ensembles like Baroque masters Red Priests, the Friction Quartet, the New York Chamber Soloists, and the legendary Vienna Voice Choir. We annually partner with the Temple Symphony Orchestra to present Van Cliburn International Piano Competition finalists like Jan Juracek, Sean Chen, and Fei Fei Dong. Our Arts and Education program alone presents over 50 shows a year with TEACS-aligned educational programs serving over 14,000 kids in grades K through 8. We try to inspire the kids to explore music, art, and theater on their home campuses. Each school year, the Contemporaries, a CAC volunteer organization, presents Hands On, our virtual field trip for more than 2,000 third graders to someplace like Egypt, India, or Ireland. During the summer, the CAC has arts camps, dance camps, science camps, and a popular residency by the Missoula Children's Theater. This summer, we're planning our rock school. Every year, more than 20 art exhibits in 4 CAC galleries feature area, national, and international artists. The annual Artworks exhibit showcases works of 5,000 area students in grades K through 12. All kinds of classes for adults and children are offered here. Yoga, drawing and painting, pottery and ceramics, fused class, ballroom dancing. Clubs like the Review Club and the Stardust Ballroom Dance Club meet here. and choral groups like the Texas Country Gentlemen and the Sweet Adeline's Chisholm Trail Chorus rehearse and perform here. Businesses, service organizations, churches, area schools, and individuals rent CAC facilities for classes and seminars, parties and celebrations, banquets and receptions, ceremonies and performances, and meetings and services. Through this diverse base of support and interaction, we provide a unique array of cultural services to the area. Partnering with the City of Temple, we use the local art scene and professional touring shows as cultural and economic assets to promote Temple as a small city with a rich cultural tradition. There's always something happening at the Cultural Activity Center. Visit cacarts.org and join the fun.
That's my presentation. Questions?
Council, any questions? Brock, this is really great. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. We just were running ahead of schedule,
Early,
which is
right.
always nice. But one thing I'd like to say is that I don't think that I think it's one of the CAC is one of those things that we can occasionally take for granted. A lot of us that have grown up and are used to having the CAC around. But when people come from outside our community and to learn about our community, to move to the area, if they're looking at the area, I think they are incredibly surprised at what a diverse cultural scene we have, and a lot of that is thanks to the CAC. So I see Gene Thorpe in the audience, and thanks for all your work, and certainly appreciate you presenting today.
Sure. Thank you all very much.
You bet. Yeah. I'll go back one. Do we have anyone from Aware Central Texas here yet? Are they aware that they're going to be on? I'm sorry. I was going to say that. Then that being the case, I'm going to jump ahead to communities and schools of Greater Central Texas. Anybody know that today's the day? Czech Heritage Museum. Susan Chandler.
Good afternoon. I'm Susan Chandler. It's great to be here. I appreciate this opportunity to present. I guess you know that we have a museum here in town, the Czech Heritage Museum, and the reason it's here is because this is one of the largest enclaves of Czech immigrants in Texas, in the U.S., and even in the world. So we are a very Czech-oriented community. The problem is that I've found is not many people know much more about the Czechs. To the right? There we go. Except kolaches and polkas. But there's a lot more to know about Czechs. And the thing, when I took this job in December, I started asking around about the museum, and I heard things from citizens of Temple that said, yeah, I know it's there, but I've never been in. Or, gee, I thought it was closed, because they drive by and I guess think it's closed. So my goal is to open the doors and open the museum and open the culture up to the community, and also open our museum for the community's use. Now, we have a lot of assets. One of those is this historic building. We have a little museum, a little building up there. It's just a few blocks north of here, but it's a great location. It's close to downtown. It's close to the historic district, and it's cute. But I want to leverage all the assets that we have. One of the things that we have is social media. Since I started working with the social media in December, we now have an active community that participates from Europe in Czech and in English, from all over the U.S. In fact, I have a little contest. We give out free admission tickets, but you have to email me for the tickets. And people write from Chicago and Nebraska, and I think, well, I'm not sending them airline tickets down here, but they want their free tickets to the museum, so I guess they're going to come by at some point. Another thing, we were on the Texas bucket list, and since then, a lot of winter Texans rerouted. Instead of coming up through 77, they'd come through 35 and stopped in at Temple. A lot of Texans have stopped in as a result of that show. Carol Highsmith, the Library of Congress photographer, chose our museum to represent Central Texas in the book that the Library of Congress produced on Texas. Another thing I'll leverage is my family is friends with the ambassador, the Czech ambassador to the U.S., and I can tell you that he loves Texas. He's been here to Texas more than any other state in the U.S. In fact, other people are starting to kind of comment, but he comes often. He brings business in. He brings in representatives of agriculture and business, and he's very interested. The Czech people are so thrilled that there's a group of Czechs here that love their culture. Now, the assets that we have in our museum, the museum started collecting in the 1960s, so we have a lot of artifacts about early Czech Texas history. We have the the musical instruments, toys, farm implements, farm homemaking instruments, and tools, and so we have a lot of that. But not only do we have that, we have some things that people brought from in the 1800s that were their treasures. It's amazing what people could pack on the ship. They brought fragile things and large things. But anyway, one of my goals is to preserve and protect these wonderful artifacts. Another goal is to educate our community and anyone who cares to know about the contributions of the Czechs in our world, in our culture. We're hoping to bring in an exhibit of Alphonse Mucha, the Master of Art Nouveau concerts with Czech composers and Czech films. Also lectures on Czech inventions in the sciences. We have our own exciting stories. This one is a Czech Legionnaire's uniform. We're working on this exhibit. The man who wore this uniform is a Texan, was a Texan from Houston, and he gave this uniform and everything that goes with it to the museum in the 1960s. It sat in our museum and nobody really researched it, so I started researching and I wrote to the Czech Republic. They sent me all of his military records. The doctor in Houston that filled out his medical report. There's just a ton of stories that go with this, and so we're very excited about that. We also have some rare books, a lot of rare books that I really need to protect. I'm working with the experts at Baylor University that are helping me. They came down and looked at these books, and they're helping me to figure out how to store these correctly and to preserve them. One of them is this Bible from 1549. Another one is this other Bible, 1765, that Bob Bullock has on display now down in Austin. But we have many more. This is just two. We have tons of them. Another one of our assets is the Sokol tradition, which is a Czech cradle-to-grave fitness program. This year is 150 years in celebration of Sokol in the U.S. Sokol was the precursor to the present-day Olympics, and most of the American gymnasts have come from the Sokol gyms. But what I would like to concentrate, not really gymnastics here in Temple, but we have a beautiful tree-shaded lot next to the museum. And so for the summer, to come in with our Sokol exhibit, I'd like to offer free fitness classes. Sokol has these routines, and they have the seniors next to the children, next to the athletes. They all work together, and everybody has their own level, but we all work together. It's a lot of fun, so that's what I'm planning to, or wanting to bring this summer. We also have, we're working with Baylor University. We received their Community Oral History grant. And we're working with the Texas Czech Legacy Project that's at University of Texas at Austin. Excuse me, I started going so fast and I'm out of breath. But anyway, the dialect we have in this particular area is better preserved here than it is in the Czech Republic. And so the linguists in the Czech Republic and here are studying this dialect. So we're capturing some of those recordings of our elderly people because this dialect is slated to be extinct in 15 years when this group dies out. So one of the things that I'm doing that go along with this is I've opened up one of the rooms and turned it into kind of a little social room. And I'm going to invite those seniors that can still speak Czech to come in and have an hour a week to socialize. Because when I ask them, do you speak Czech? They'll say, I do, but I don't have anyone to talk to. And so we'll bring them in. They can talk together. Also, bilingualism staves off Alzheimer's. So hopefully we'll do our part against Alzheimer's on that one. As far as community, I feel like our facility would be great for small recitals for the piano teachers, voice teachers in the area, lectures, small events. We already go out to schools and club meetings and scouts. We're going to continue to do that. I want to expand that. Again, that weekly Svačina hour. Svačina means not sweets, snack time. So we'll provide a little snack time on that. Also, we would like to have regular movie nights. We've already got some exhibit openings, schedules, and lectures. So that's what we're planning to do. Things like Kafka night, Milos Forman night, things like that. So when you have goals, big goals, you have needs. And so some of our needs are, we've operated on a very small budget for a long time. And the board expanded that and invested in me. Before, they've just been working with a small staff of 2 part-timers. So now they've invested in a full-time director. But our computers are hand-me-downs and old, and I'm a little bit afraid they're going to crash while we're putting in our accessioning data on all of our collection. Another thing we need badly is archival storage and display supplies. We need things like boxes for those rare books. We need humidity meters and things like that, especially and also for our textiles. We have a number of precious textiles. Now, I really want to open our doors to the community, and I'm very serious about that. And so I'm wanting to bring in exhibits that are not, maybe we will explain, maybe they'll have a Czech base, but they need to be appealing to everyone and not just Czech-centric. So I'm looking for exhibits that will be interesting to artists or maybe interesting to scientists or other things besides just Czechs. Again, sponsoring social events for the seniors and the elderly, I'd kind of like to give them a place to come. Once a week you could drop off your mother and for an hour, let her visit with her friends, come back and get her. I just think it would be kind of a fun thing. And then if younger people want to come in and practice their Czech or learn a little bit more with older people, they can. And one thing I'm asking for is billboard signage on I-35. I really think it would be great if we could have something out there letting people know we have the museum here. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Susan. Council, any questions? No, again, just like I said concerning the CAC, the Czech Heritage Museum is one of those things in our community that we don't, that if you're here in the community, you don't always take advantage of as you should, but we're very lucky to have it. And keep me posted about the Art Nouveau idea, because I'd like to go see that.
That's my favorite thing.
Good, I can't wait. We'll have to sit down and talk about it sometime.
All right.
All right, thanks so much. Now I'll go back to the beginning. Now, where is Central Texas? All right. I've already used my one-aware joke today, so I won't make any more. You didn't miss anything. It really wasn't all that good.
Okay, this is the first time I've ever done this, so be kind.
We will.
I am Harriet Brody, and I am with Aware Central Texas. We're an organization that works for the prevention of child abuse, neglect, and family violence. We have locations where we do our parenting and anger management classes in Gatesville, Waco, Temple, Belton, Killeen, Copperas Cove, Lampasas, Marble Falls, and Liberty Hill. When I first started this job 5 years ago, I was not aware of the issues of child abuse as much as I am today. And I really had a hard time getting that across to people. People don't like being involved with child abuse. They'd rather let people handle their own problems. And once I've gotten into this and been in it, I can tell you that it's very rewarding to be able to affect people's lives and improve it so that they do not take this anger out on their children. When I've looked at Temple, I've lived in the Central Texas area for a long time now. Temple was a little bit reluctant to talk about it, and I started watching the police reports. I have never watched police reports in my entire life, and it's an interesting thing. 25% of those police reports are extremely volatile family violence cases. So we do have that problem here. It's not going away. If anything, probably in some cases it's getting worse because families are not learning how to deal with their anger. They take out their anger in public or with their children or with their elderly. So Aware Central Texas is making strides for change in those areas by being more accessible, and we get referrals from the Child Protective Services, we get from law enforcement, we get from judges, and we do also get some self-referrals. We are a vital part of your community. It's just that we're a little, pretty much of a quiet one. Does anybody have any questions of me? I don't know what else to say.
Council, do you have any questions?
Where are the classes held, did you say?
Actually, in all different kinds of
They're all the
locations.
different
But
locations.
for instance, locally, we are at the Goodwill Training Center on 31st Street. And that's the truth in Waco. It's easy, or in churches. We try to be in churches because we try to connect them with those church families if we can.
That would probably widen your audience. If they're in different locations, you can access people from all different parts of the community.
That is correct.
Do you see folks from all walks of life and that need your services?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. I think you might even be surprised.
Is there a charge for the classes?
There's a $20 charge, but 40% of our classes, unfortunately, are not paid for because we waive the cost so that the people can attend the classes. So we have, we ask for 20, but if they can't afford it, we don't punish them for that. We want them to take the classes. We want to have them be better parents.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Communities and schools of Greater Central Texas.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Michael DeWeese, and I'm the Executive Director of Communities and Schools of Greater Central Texas. The young lady I have here with me is Miss Amy Michalek. She is our Communities and Schools Site Coordinator at Temple High School. She's been with our program for a couple of years now, and all at Temple High School. I just want to thank, obviously, the City Council today for giving us this opportunity to present our grant. And just a little background, Communities and Schools, our local program has been in the area for over 20 years, and we've been serving at-risk children in Temple for over 20 years, since the early 90s. The name of our project is Project Hope, Communities and School Services at Temple High School. We're asking just a little over $12,000, $12,036 to be exact, and this funding, if we're awarded the grant, would go to pay a portion of Ms. Michalek's salary. The number one priority of the project is the children at Temple High School. In particular, those, in particular, the success of those children at Temple High School, especially those who are struggling for one reason or another. There are many of them that are struggling at Temple High School. I always like to use a quote that I think is very pertinent. And, you know, our children, they are the faces of our future. And the childhood that we give them today will determine the society that they give us tomorrow. And I don't think there's a person in this room who doesn't want to have, you know, a strong and vibrant community and a strong, vibrant Temple. And one way, obviously, we can accomplish that is by keeping our kids in school and helping them overcome the many challenges that they face, and ultimately having them earn that high school diploma so they can move on to bigger and better things, you know, whether that be college, although we know that not all of them are cut out for college, and if not, maybe a good trade school lined up. If not that, you know, just a good job upon graduating from high school. Because the bottom line is, you know, we're going to depend on our youth as we get older. And we need them to be successful, productive, contributing members of our society. Because, like I said, we are going to have to depend on them. We want the best for them. Now, obviously, Temple High School is a campus with many challenges. There are nearly 2,000 students there. And looking up the data, you know, 62%, that's slightly over 3 out of 5, are economically disadvantaged, you know, eligible for free and or reduced lunch. Just about the same percentage, 62% as well, are identified by the Texas Education Agency as at risk of academic failure. These are huge challenges, and we need to address those issues. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and draw your attention to the handout that we did provide that's on the screen. And what that is, just giving you a snapshot of, this was a snapshot back in late April when the grant was due. At that time, we had case managed 165 students at Temple High School and provided them with over 5,000 hours in services, as you can see there. The center part of the handout just gives you an idea of what these children look like as far as the ones that we are serving, these 165. 88% were on free and reduced lunch. All of them are struggling academically or exhibiting behavior issues. 56% are living in a single-parent family. That's pretty predominant here. Not just here, but nationwide. 26 of them suffering from homelessness. That's 1 in 6 of the students that we serve at Temple High School. Now, it doesn't mean necessarily they're on the street, and probably doesn't. That means they're doubled up with other families or friends. But that's an issue. That is an obstacle to success in school. I'll come to the latter part, the bottom part of the handout in just a moment. So how do we assist these students at Temple High School? What we do is we place professional staff like Ms. Michalek on the campus to provide much needed academic, behavioral, and social services support to the at-risk children there. Not just the children, but also their families. A lot of times, most of the time, if children are struggling at school, there's something going on at the home. I mean, we do home visits to see what's going on and figure out what's happening to that student at home, and then come up with a case management plan. Ms. Michalek has a bachelor's of social work, and she's there every day that school's in session. She provides lunch groups. She's there for after-school tutoring programs. She's a solid commodity within the school. We are a nonprofit, like most of the applicants here, if not all of them, and therefore we can't pay well. And I hate that, because these folks are professionals. They're worth their weight in gold. I wish we could pay them more. It is a labor of love that she shows toward her students, not just her, but all of our staff. I mean, they have an intense passion to see students succeed, and they do have a heart of gold. They've done a great job. Now I'll draw your attention to the bottom portion of that statement. We can go by the outcomes that we had attained last year at Temple High School with Ms. Michalek there. 99% of the students that she case managed improved in their academics, 99% behavior. 85% were promoted, but they all stayed in school, and all of her CIS seniors graduated last year. Obviously, those are indicators of success in school, and we want to keep them in school. So, like I said earlier, get that high school diploma in their hands so they can move on to bigger and better things. I don't know where we are on time. I know we're limited, but Amy, did you want to say anything real quickly to the?
I don't know where we are in time either.
Y'all are okay.
I mean, everything that he said, I obtained my degree in social work in order to work for communities and schools because this program wasn't around when I was in high school and I really could have used it. There was no helping hand. Not that there weren't people in the school that helped, but there wasn't a person to go to say, hey, I'm having a hard time at home, can you help me? And so I specifically went into social work to be able to work with CIS. And working in the high school, I had no idea what I was going to go into. I kind of wanted to work with elementary at first, walked into Temple High School, and I mean, it is so rewarding every day to be able to do what I do and to see the difference. It's not about me, it's about the students and about the program, but it's visible every day, every moment, being able to see them from not knowing where they were sleeping the night before to now getting in touch with their family, helping them with job training or providing services. Then a lot of times they didn't know about any of these other resources either. So it's just super rewarding, and I feel lucky to be able to do it every day.
I know we're probably out of time. Do we have any questions and answers or questions that we can entertain?
How closely do you work with the teachers? I assume they refer them to you, or?
This is very good because in with the families and the students is the staff of the school, and I work very closely with all of the staff. We kind of piggyback off of each other, and so they utilize CIS so much. They'll call me or email me. I have a student that came in. I'm not sure what's going on with them. Can I send them your way? Can you come in? And even I was going to say the 165 students that are case managed, it's based off of paperwork. However, the impact that we have on the school is greater because I go into classrooms and do social skills or any kind of lesson that they may ask that I can provide. So they'll have me come into the classroom, they'll send the student to me, or the teacher may say, hey, can we put our heads together? I don't know what to do for this student, and we'll work together to do it. So the staff is a big part of the program, supporting them too.
And I assume the parents are very receptive to being able to get some assistance?
Yes, I mean, and at first, if they, they're looking for somebody, and then they go, wait a minute, they'll transfer the call to me, and then it starts there. And so then they find a place to plug in that we can kind of work together. So there's different ways the parents will either look for us or I'll look for them based off of the student situation. Once they know that we're there and they feel comfortable opening up, then, all kinds of doors are open. The parents come to the schools a lot more sometimes based off of working with CIS.
Thank you, Ms. Morale, for the questions. Any others?
Just a comment. Thank you for the good work that you're doing.
Thank you, Mr. Dutton. Appreciate that. And if there's no other questions, we'll move along. I know you got a busy agenda this afternoon.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you for the
Appreciate
opportunity to present.
Absolutely. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Family Promise. I'm going to go. Go ahead. Sorry.
My name is Rachel Peterson, and I am the new Executive Director for Family Promise of East Bell County. I came in the middle of April to replace Dr. Mike Bergman, who has been leading the organization for several years now. He has retired and is still going to be involved with the organization in a capacity connected to what we're talking about today. I'd like to start with a word of thanks. Our existence as an organization, it finds its roots in the efforts of city leadership in Temple and the surrounding area as the formation of the CARE Network kind of identified the need for services for homeless families, which resulted in the formation of our organization. And also just thanks for the funding that has come to Family Promise in years past that has helped further our mission in the community. And what our mission is to provide services to homeless families through community partnerships and interfaith congregations. We were established in 2003, and the name was changed to Family Promise in 2010. And really, what we do is provide a depth of service to homeless families. We don't spread services wide. We go deep with the families that we serve. And we do this because we're hoping to help them achieve independence sustainably. We provide intensive case management. We work together with churches to provide housing overnight, meals, and with other social service agencies to address any need that would come up. And so I think the two main things that are kind of distinct hallmarks of our organization are that families get to stay together when they're facing homelessness issues, and also that we have a community-based response that is looking to incorporate people who may be marginalized into the greater community. So we have about 12 partner churches that host our families for a week at a time, usually 4 times a year, and those churches provide volunteers who make meals, who drive our van, who stay overnight, who do activities with the children and families. So by the time a lot of the families go through our program, they've connected with more than 100 individuals from the community who are showing them care and concern, which is a really, I think, special way to communicate that they are not forgotten. Homelessness is a major issue within the nation and within our community. The probably broadest terms of defining it are through the Department of Education, because it counts those families that are doubled up, that are living in vehicles or other places that are not really conducive for human habitation. We've talked to people as recently as this week who have 9-10 people in a 2-bedroom apartment trying to find a way to make it work with lots of children and just facing hard circumstances that do actually qualify them as homeless under that definition. And so within the 2013-14 school year, in the eastern part of Bell County, which is Temple and Belton primarily, there were about 650 children who were identified as homeless, which is a significant number. And if you include the whole county in that and looking towards Killeen, that number almost triples. So it is a significant issue, especially when you consider that a lot of families who are facing homelessness issues will be moving around from family to family, trying to find where they can to stay for short periods of time. And then, kind of just to give a picture of that, on January 22nd of this year, they did kind of a point-in-time study to see where we were at with homelessness. And within the county, looking at Temple, Belton, and Killeen ISDs, there were 1,308 children who are identified through the school systems as homeless on January 22nd. So what we're able to do is we usually will set our time frame at about 90 days and try and work families through our program within that time. And our goal is to achieve lasting independent housings to where they go from our program to a good housing situation. There are times when they have a lot of challenges that they face, so that looks a little bit different. We utilize some transitional housing in partnership with other agencies. We do everything that we can to get them as stable as they can be. A lot of times that'll involve referring for family counseling to kind of address underlying issues. It involves helping find employment and applying for social services and looking at the whole picture of what's affecting this family. We have a case manager who pretty much just devotes her whole job to working with the families that we serve. And because of our church partnerships and our transportation through van, we limit at any given time to 14 people total, or no more than 4 families. The specific part of what this grant request is about relates to expanding our staff for resource development purposes. And kind of up until now, the staff has been operating with 1 part-time and 1 full-time staff member, and pretty much all of the time there has been consumed with trying to meet the basic functions of the organization, trying to do the case management, supervision, and get those essential things in place. And as a result, we have not had the time or energy to devote to resource development in a way that's going to move the organization forward like we would like to see and kind of get to a place of steady financial independence and stability. And so the board has been looking for a long time at the possibility of adding a resource development staff person, part-time, full-time, what that would look like, and just different ways that we could improve that, and ended up deciding to move forward as a part of replacing the retiring executive director to my position now, moving that from a part-time to a full-time position and incorporating in those resource development responsibilities, but that addition of kind of a half-time person that came when I took this position is increasing our salary costs, and it's kind of moving us into a position where temporarily we're needing to make sure that we have the base that we need as we seek to expand our resources through the development of unrestricted funding, trying to grow some of our events that have raised funds in the past to be a little bit more of a support there and community awareness, and then identifying new funding partners and maintaining the relationships that we have with current funding partners in a more consistent way. As well as kind of a secondary issue to that is just making sure, because we are so dependent on our volunteer base, the in-kind contributions that come our way, that we're recruiting and maintaining those resource relationships as well. So that's the gist of what we're hoping will come to us through this grant request, is the capacity to just make sure that we have what we need now as we're seeking to develop things for the future and moving forward. Does anybody have any questions?
I understand that right now, Family Promise is the only facility for families that are homeless. Is that correct?
There are domestic violence specific situations, but in terms of what we do with families, there really isn't anything like it in the area.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Oh, absolutely. Have anybody from the Help Center here yet? Have anybody from the Hill Country Community Action Association here yet? How about Hillcrest Cemetery? I know it. I've got to tell everybody, I got a real funny note from Miss Coley last night that, well, no, it's okay. It's setting everything up, because Jack Morris was going to do this, but he got sick. But we'd much rather listen to you than we would Jack.
Well, now you may change your mind after
Well,
this.
I don't know. I'm just setting it up.
Thank you, Dan.
You bet.
Thank y'all all for having me here. I'm Brenda Coley. I am the president of Hillcrest Cemetery. And thank you all for allowing me to tell you a few facts about Hillcrest. Hillcrest is older than the city of Temple. It is one of the oldest, if not the oldest, historic cemeteries in Bell County. We have 77 acres, 18,000 interments, or we like to call them our residents. So, and our volunteers are all, our officers and trustees are all volunteers, and they're very dedicated and loyal to Hillcrest. What we're trying to do for Hillcrest is we want to improve the maintenance and grounds of the cemetery. We pay $65,500 a year, and that's right off the top of our budget for the maintenance grounds of maintenance. And our water system is just very inadequate. It's over 100 years old. We have breaks and leaks, and we have to stay on top of it at all times. And we have lots of old trees out there, and we want to implement new trees, so when those have to go, we'll be ready for the newer trees already out there. The city planted us 10 trees last year, and our goal is to have them to plant 10 new trees every year. The industry is changing, and our cremations are like 40% of the deaths, and cremation is like 35% of the burial cost. And that cuts right into our profits. That is our main income, is selling of the plots. And that hurts us tremendously. We want to bring up our trust fund once again. Over the past 10 years, it has gone down 65%. As y'all well know, that was taken from the trust fund to all the improvements of Hillcrest. We built a beautiful new office, put a fence all the way around it, and that has increased the security and less vandalism. Because the gates open at sunrise and shut at sundown. And we want to continue to operate at a high rate of standard. That is having people there on the grounds from night. We have a paid employee from 9 to 3, and that has helped with our customers tremendously. A lot of times the customers don't know where their graves are, and she takes them out there and helps them. And also we want to keep a clean and beautiful and serene historic cemetery for our customers. We have implemented new programs for revenues. We started a brick fund like 3 years ago, and it has raised over $25,000, but that money has gone to help improve the roads. and it needs a lot more. And also, we've had the burial space sale. It raised $20,000, but it went straight into our general fund to help keep the cemetery going. Our 5K walk and run was a success. I think Mr. Davis can testify to that. And
Did you walk or run?
I watched them walking.
No, now, he helped hold down the tent.
That's true. It was
He
windy.
did.
Oh,
It was
you were an anchor.
blowing
As long
away.
as
Anchorman.
bikes weren't involved, you're okay.
That's right. That's exactly.
But we did raise enough money to pay all the expenses and give us enough money to start out our section markers. We're going to have 100 section markers, and this paid for the first 25. And we are implementing a scattering garden. It's going to be in the old area of the cemetery, and we're going to put the wrought iron fencing around it that was around Hillcrest at one time. And when people scatter their loved ones' ashes there, they can put a plaque on the fence for their name, date of birth, and the date of death. And we want to put trees out there and a little bench so they can go out there and talk to their loved ones. Also, now, this is not a moneymaker, but we've started having Veterans Day and Memorial Day programs there. That is to honor all of our veterans that are buried in Hillcrest and their families. And we find that this is just one of our ways of giving back to the community. The loss of funding would really result in reduced service. We have a paid employee there from 9 to 3, and she's been there since 2012. And that has really helped with Hillcrest. And people, our customers come in there just to talk to her sometimes. They've lost their wives or their husbands, and they're very lonely. And they will come in there, and Sarah would just take all the time in the world with them. And that's letting them know that we are honoring our heritage for yesterday, today, and forever. Thank y'all very much. That's all I've got to say.
Thank you. And I, as you and I have talked before, I occasionally just enjoy driving through Hillcrest and looking at all the folks that have come before us that have done so much in the community. And if you haven't done that lately, you need to, because they do a really nice job of keeping the cemetery up. And I look forward to seeing you on Monday.
I hope to see everybody there.
At Memorial Day.
I guarantee you'll be back
Absolutely.
for another Observance Day.
Absolutely.
Thank y'all very much for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Coley. All right. Anyone from the Help Center yet? Hill Country Community Action Association. How about Hill Country Transit? Robert Ator. 3 days in a row.
We've been seeing a lot of each other.
We really have been.
Thanks very much for the opportunity to come today. First of all, I want to brag a little bit on us, I guess. We recently received the Transit System of the Year Award from Federal Transit Administration Region 6, and I think everybody probably knows about that by now. We bragged a lot on it. It's truly, this is the first time that Region 6 has done such an award. This is based primarily on the fact that the trainer review they conduct every 3 years on 23 specific areas of how we operate, from maintenance to funding to safety to ADA compliance. We had 3 trainer reviews in a row with absolutely no findings. I've been doing this 41 years, and I've never seen anywhere that's had that kind of record. So I'm really proud to be a part of that. And I just wanted to share that and let you know we work very hard to do a good job. I also know that today's presentation is very short, and normally I try to give a lot of detail about the amount of funding level and where it comes from and how we do it, and I think some of you are very familiar with that. I do want to keep it short today, but there's 3 points I'd like to make that we did not include in great detail here. First is we maximize the use of grants and the transit-specific funding, such as that provided by the Federal Transit Administration. As we've talked about for several years, unfortunately, the federal transit funding is not keeping up with our growth. It's not decreased, it's just not increasing along with our growth, which is kind of the plan from the federal transit funding anyway, is to help transit systems grow and get started and get developed and provide opportunities for communities to identify ways to fund that transit system into the future. Secondly, we do continue to rely very heavily on our contract revenue. We were successful again in obtaining a Medicaid contract. The state changed it a little bit, how we do it, changed us up a little bit, but we were able to retain that. We're continuing to receive Medicaid revenue from that. We have other contract revenues, and we use that to maximize our ability to leverage other funding as well. And finally, we do each year monitor very carefully our federal funding availability. If we can roll over funding, we do. Was there a question? I'm sorry.
Just from Siri.
Oh, was that- okay.
It wasn't you, don't worry.
All right. So we do watch very carefully to monitor the federal funding from year to year. We can roll over federal funding for up to 3 years, and we do that. Sometimes we're very lucky, and we're able to keep some costs down in some areas. We try to budget as carefully as we can, but if we can roll over, we do, and that'll help in the next years out. And just kind of an example of that, in the funding request we put in for this year, we put in a funding request for $26,000 for 2 new shelters to go out by the VA when that South First Street expansion is done. That was approved by the council. We got our quotes in. They're just a little over half that price, which we were thrilled to find that. So when we actually invoice the city for those shelters, we will be invoicing for the actual amount, not the requested amount. So that'll help some. We do operate the HOP with routes in Temple and connecting service to and from Coppers Cove and Killeen, Harker Heights. We have stops in Nolanville and Belton. We have a lot of people travel from the west side of the HOP urban service area to the Temple VA and the Scott White Medical Facilities in Temple. The Route 200 connector continues to grow. That's been developed as turning into one of our busiest routes. We have a lot of people going back and forth. In addition to the fixed routes, we also operate door-to-door service, and the funding request we're providing today is for all of the services that we provide. This is not just fixed route. This is our door-to-door service, our ADA complimentary service. It's all the services that the HOP provides, regardless of the type of program that they're on. Briefly, the program purpose and benefits, obviously employment, recreation, education, shopping, reduced traffic congestions, and reduced vehicle emissions. We participate a lot in K-Tempo. We work on our part in our program with traffic congestions, vehicle emissions. We participated in the Federal Highway Administration reviews and their plans and programs for the future as well. We currently operate 3 fixed routes in Temple. All of these are very successful routes with good ridership. That's just a brief overview of those 3 routes. We've got a little double up around the Scott and White area and the shopping areas where the mall and Walmart. One bus is not enough. It takes 2 routes to get everybody that needs to go there. In 2014, we were asked to consider methods for serving the new Walmart store located on 2305 near Old Waco Road. One of the things we did do was look at our current routes. Can we do anything to tweak them to go that far? We would be destroying routes. They're so popular where we are. We can't stretch those out that far. We'd be taking kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul. We did develop a route. We submitted that as a proposed route. We went through the planning department and with the city. We've worked very well with them for years. We greatly appreciate their teamwork. This route covers a lot larger area than we thought it would. It also gets out to the Westfield area. I know there's a lot of housing area development going on there, so this would be a really good connection for that as well. And I'll show you a little bit more in a minute. You can see some of the service benefits. It would serve the Walmart. It services Loop 205 residential areas. Every time I've gone out there to look at the route areas, I've seen someone walking carrying plastic bags of food or groceries. So there's people that need some service. It serves the Scott and White campus. Provides connection with Route 530 at Woodbridge, as well as the route connection at 520. Bird Creek Crossing Shopping Center, we're looking at ways we can extend that 520 now to go to that Bird Creek. We just need to find a place we can safely stop and make that work. And it actually completes a loop service around the center of Temple. If you look at this, that purple route up in the left is what we're talking about, is 540. And it literally provides a way to go around. You can go back and forth either direction and where you need to go. Provides a lot better service for people in areas to get to Scott White, to other shopping centers, to the VA, and so forth. It really kind of rounds out and gives us a good base platform for continued growth into the future. The funding request is obviously significantly higher this year. The local funding request for the HOP, which includes the cost of the new Route 540 and continued operation of the current service, is $440,733. There's no 2 ways about it. A large part of that is for the Route 540, but I also think it's important to consider that ties in and provides all of the services that are there, all the transportation services in Temple, and the connections back and forth to Killeen area. We have a lot of reverse commute. We have people that live in Temple that work in Killeen, and that's been something we found working with the Chambers of Commerce, that's really going both directions now, so we play an important role in that as well. we're hoping that we can get the full funding. We'd very much like to get that and continue to work through the NPO and through the city council, looking at areas that we can try to identify as methods for identifying some dedicated funding for the long term. In the event that Route 540 is not added, we would at least like to get 187,736. That would be the amount we need to continue to operate the current service level. It's a little more than last year, but it's certainly not as dramatic an increase. Again, this would provide the current service levels as this right here, and I got excited about the 540. I hope we can make that happen. Unfortunately, if the funding level of 187,736 is not provided, we would really have to look at service levels. We would obviously have to adjust them either through eliminating Saturday service, and I'd hate to do it, but we could reduce some weekday service, and that's going backwards. We need to be going the other direction if we can. We do rely on performance standards, and in a lot of these presentations, and in the past, I've tried to present some very specific, but we have several performance standards that were actually negotiated with the city and how we report. We have a standard performance report. We're requested to give that a couple of times a year, and we do that. It covers ridership, safety, fleet maintenance, customer service, on-time performance, and other areas. Obviously, today is too short for details, but the standards show that we provide high-quality service. We truly believe we provide a culture of excellence, not only in the service that we provide, but in the work environment that we provide for our employees. Our success, again, is reflected in the recent award by the FTA for the Transit System of the Year. Sure would like to see this 540. I hope y'all can figure out a way to make that work. And again, I'll leave with a brag note on the end. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I hope I gave you what you needed and still met your time constraints.
Right. Council, any questions?
Do you have any idea, by adding the Route 540, the ridership numbers, or do you have any way to indicate
Ms.
that?
Morales, I'd be guessing. I think that would be a good route, and kind of the reason I do is again, it's hitting Loop 305. It's going to hit the edge of that Westfield area. It serves the Walmart. It's going to tie in at 530 and up around Salisbury. We get decent ridership through there. It also would go down and connect with the 520, so it's going to get some people that can be able to transfer across both directions. And then there's the Apache in area right there through there too. That was an area that we tried serving back several years ago when we first started, and that was the one place that got little ridership. We just didn't get enough to justify all of that West Adams. But when we started 530 out there about 3 years ago, that route has really worked well. We get good ridership out there. I feel pretty good that this would be a good route. Sure do.
Well, it's definitely growing, so I would think that would make a difference.
Well, we're watching all the areas. We look at the demographics. We look at the growth. We work very closely with your planning department of where they feel the growth is going. And this is one of the largest areas. It's really the hot spot for the Temple growth.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Would it be all right if we took about a 5-minute break and we'll be back in just a few minutes? No one yet is here from the Help Center, so we've got the Hill Country Community Action Association. Yes, ma'am. Oh, good. That's two birds with one stone.
And do I just click that when I want to move it? Click. Okay, I am Amy Shaw, the Chief Executive Officer for Hill Country Community Action, and you've probably seen me here before. Are you sure it moves it?
To the right.
Do what? Oh. Oh. Anyway, we do provide the services for the senior citizens here in Temple. We have a cook over at Salmons, as you well know, and we do a big home-delivered meal program. And this does provide a lifeline for the frail elderly homebound clients. And it's more than a meal. When we deliver the meal, we make sure we check on the people and make sure they're in good health. And if they do not answer the door, we make sure we find someone who can let us in the house. And if we can't find anyone to check on the person, we'll call 911, make sure they're okay. And many times, we're the only people that see and check on them each day. We do provide, as I said, congregate meals at Salmons, Friendship House, Golden Haven, Graham Hall, and the Kyle Center. And we deliver meals to homebound clients within a 2-mile radius of the city limits of Temple. We provide the meal 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, a noon meal, and we also provide nutrition information to our clients. And we coordinate and refer services to other social service agencies. So if they need help in any way, we try to guide them and get them that help. The homebound participants that we've surveyed said 4% said that they would go hungry without our meals. 38% said they would just mostly eat cereal or frozen meals. And particularly, we're talking about our homebound clients here. And 8% said that without our meals, they probably wouldn't be able to stay in our home. So it's a very cost-effective program when you think about keeping seniors at home and out of the nursing homes. And it's a big help to their families. Their families are all very appreciative. It takes a little bit of burden off them. They know at least they have, excuse me, at least one good meal a day. We ask for $2 contribution, but we never deny services if someone's unable to pay. And mostly we get way less than $2 average contribution, for particularly the homebound clients. We're requesting $25,000 to help us pay the cook's salary and fringe and to buy some food over at the Salmons Community Center. We've been over there since it opened, serving meals, and we have a good participation over there now. And we're requesting from CDBG $20,737 to pay for salary and fringe for 2 part-time meal delivery drivers. These are half-time workers, 20 hours a week. We depend a lot on volunteers, but we have so many routes here, and it's such a big program that we do have to pay some drivers for stability's sake. And our goal is to improve the living environment and promote self-sufficiency for senior citizens age 60 and older and for persons with disabilities. So we not only serve homebound elderly people, but also people with disabilities who qualify. And we improve the health of the elderly by providing a well-balanced meal each weekday and providing nutritional information. And our objective is to allow the elderly and disabled to lead independent, meaningful lives in their own homes and communities for as long as possible. Many older folks in Central Texas don't have enough to eat. They have too little income, physical impairments, and the absence of friends and family means every day is spent at home alone. Funding for the nutrition program has not kept up with the need, and without your support, the senior citizens in your community may go hungry. And I'll be happy to answer any questions. I know that was quick and brief, but, time is time. And you've probably heard this before, many of you.
Very interesting. Council, any questions? Thank you so much.
Okay. Next.
Changing hats now.
Changing hats. By the way, the traffic was just terrible today.
It's TxDOT's fault.
Always.
I drive in Austin some, and I drive here a lot, and I think here's getting just about as bad as Austin. Bell County Human Services, the Help Center, the Temple Help Center. On April the 1st, to give you a little history here, the Bell County Commissioners Court entered into a memorandum of understanding with Hill Country Community Action, that's us, to provide management services for the help centers. And we've been working with the low-income clients and children in Bell County, or in general, for 49 years. So we've been around doing these kinds of services for a long time. The Help Center's been providing services to low-income households for the past 43 years. So they've been providing services for a long, long time. The judge and commissioners serve as the board of directors. And the Help Center partners with the City of Temple and local organizations to provide assistance to low-income individuals and families. The mission of the Bell County Human Service Help Center is to address immediate crisis situations by providing services that will help people help themselves by empowering them to become self-sufficient and independent. We assess their needs, utilize community resources, provide life skills education, and offer supplemental support which leads to vocational training programs and employment. The Help Center offers programs that address unexpected crisis and assist the low-income clients to reach self-sufficiency. The core services include short-term counseling, screening information and referral to community-based services and programs, and then non-financial assistance. Emergency financial rental assistance And we provide transportation, gasoline, bus tickets for transients, the hot bus tokens and tickets, and employment supplies. We provide work boots, uniforms, health cards, physicals, IDs, birth certificates, and things like that. And under utility assistance, we pay for electric, water, and gas bills, and we get funding for child care, financial support to help place children in child care and help get them jump ahead of the waiting list. And then we do education and job skills success initiatives also in conjunction with the workforce. The Help Center is requesting $10,000 of CDBG funds to use for the Employment and Education Initiative Program. The funds will be used to pay for work-related needs such as what I mentioned before, boots and uniforms, and education needs such as testing fees, tuition, and certification fees. Low-income clients need employment and our training to become self-sufficient. And if you can see that, that is a chart that shows the number of people who've been assisted, if you can read that, in 2013 and 14. And the number of clients served in that time period is 4,121, and in the surrounding areas, 959. 19%. City funds will be used for facility expenses, including rent, utilities, and equipment. That's a facility that they're housed in. The Help Center staff is committed to providing effective, efficient, and meaningful services to the citizens of Temple. It's important that we continue to develop strong partnerships, collaboration, communication, and coordination with cities, counties, agencies, organizations, and faith-based groups so that essential services are met in a unified and coordinated effort. The Bell County Human Service Help Center staff continues to be a strong link that reaches many of the citizens who otherwise would not receive services. The Help Center goal is to guide and strengthen customers, will promote self-sufficiency, and lead to a path of independence. Thank you for your support. I'm sorry I had to read it, but we're new at this. But we've worked with the Help Center for many years, as Judy can attest, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work even closer with the staff there. And we've been able to put our database and our larger pots of money to help with utility assistance, particularly weatherization and case management. We do on a larger scale what the Help Center has always done. So it was kind of a perfect match, and we look forward to managing it for some time to come, if the county so chooses. So we're requesting those funds that I believe, as I said, the larger amount is to help pay the rent, utilities, and that type of thing. We're at the location. And then $10,000 to help with our work program. Any questions about that?
Council, any questions?
Once a person gets assistance, how long are they assisted? 6 months, year, or, I mean, what's kind of the average time frame?
The beauty part of this, we have Hill Country funds, which can help a person longer because the Help Center's funds are more limited. They get money from a lot of different sources, and each one has its own little criteria. But for the most part, it's the needs of the individuals through the Help Center is on a crisis basis, an individual crisis basis, like the utilities need to be paid, the rent needs to be paid. Right now, they're going to be evicted, and we with the limited funds, we can usually only help them that one time. But now that we're in there as Hill Country, we have utility assistants that can pay their utilities for several months. So we take care of them with the funding through the county, or the different resources that we have there, and then we refer them. We have an employee also there, refer them to our employee to help them with the assistance that Hill Country can help them. And we're getting the staff there trained on our program so that eventually everybody will have more resources to help people through Hill Country funds. But prior to our being there, it was my understanding that you got helped one time a year for one service, or maybe one time. We're trying to help people more, as much as we can with the resources available.
And obviously, I'm assuming that they're helping themselves and getting jobs and these types of things.
Yes, we do,
and
we counsel
it's
with
just
them.
not
And Hill Country
forever.
has a case management program. And if we find someone, and in working also with the Workforce Center, we work hard at trying to get people trained, and we also have funding that will pay for boots and tuition and uniforms and gas and this type of thing. So what we're doing and the way we're helping people kind of is married. It's kind of the same thing. So we're utilizing the resources that were already there and being generated for the help center, and then adding ours to it. So we're really going to be able to have access. We, Hill Country, have never had a forum here that we were in charge of, so to speak, to help the citizens in a manner that we'll be able to help them now through the help center, we think. But we do, one of our goals is to help people help themselves also, and that's to try to get them a job. Our Hill Country's been mandated to help get people out of poverty, and we're given a number every year to get people above the federal poverty guidelines. So we case manage them, we try to get them their GED or get them in school or some kind of training, and then we try to assist them to get a job. So it's a whole myriad of things. And while doing that, they may need help with their utilities. We also weatherize homes, and any other social service they need, we try to refer them for that. So it's kind of a one-stop shop for all of that.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
One from Keep Temple Beautiful is here yet. No problem.
I just wanted to see if in between, if I could possibly, before I leave, I was here for the help center too, but I just came in the PO box. I was going to, so thank you.
Thank you.
I think we have anybody in here right now that is going to give a presentation. So I guess we could have waited 10 minutes to take a break. Yeah, you're great. Okay, so we're officially on break until someone else shows up.
All right, and I've got a couple of students that are going to be joining me, but if you don't mind, I will go ahead and start. I'm Jennifer Graham with the Temple College Foundation, and I'm very excited to be here because this is not a new program, but an incredibly growing program that we have begun in its infancy about 5 years ago. We've grown it up now to a point where we need help to keep it, to maintain it and continue to expand it. We really heard from Charlie Ayers about 5 years ago that there was an issue with workforce development, and that in our town it wasn't enough to just have a population. You had to have a population that would be ready to walk into jobs. And so we started from a college perspective saying, what can we do to help with that? One, it's obviously the degrees and the certificates that the college is giving our students, and that's an obvious one, that they've got to have the skills. But the other thing we heard, and we were doing a lot of work with the chamber in workforce development, and we kept hearing over and over, it was soft skills and actual job skills on the job. How do you get a job and how do you keep a job? And so from the foundation's perspective, we sort of felt like that was a place where we could step in and do something. So is this my clicker?
Yes.
Right on. So we rely on the college to give students the academic preparation and the skills and the certification and the actual things they need to know to complete tasks within a job. But we really looked at the behaviors at work and what are those things that make folks, one, employable, and two, that they can keep a job and stay within a job. So there's a whole lot of issues about productivity. And for people to understand that when somebody hires you, it's not because you're nice, it's not because you're cute, it's because you can do something and that you're expected to do something on a regular basis all the time. And so we really work a lot on productivity metrics and for students to understand what those are, what's expected of them, and how to achieve those metrics. We also talk about personality and that your personality has a really big effect on what you do in your job. And we don't talk about good personality and bad personality. We talk about understanding your own and being able to communicate that to a supervisor so that they can utilize your strengths and help to minimize whatever weaknesses you bring. And then we talk about character, and that it's the one thing that an employer will not be able to teach you, and they can't afford to teach you, and so you need to develop and exhibit that before you even get that job. Our student workers are in a really interesting, because we're connected with a college where we have this fabulous opportunity to give them compensation for this work training experience, but because it's paid for by the federal government as part of their student loan package, it's not costing the college and it's not costing the foundation. So we're not having to go out to donors to get money for this program, and the college isn't actually having to expend money, and the benefit for the student is it reduces their student loan package. So they're actually coming out of college with the same level of funding but less debt. Huge lesson for our students, and if we can get them to work for their money as opposed to take it and earn interest on it and have to pay it back with fees at the end, we think we're doing a good thing for them. We also have a student internship program that's pretty thriving for the last 2 years. Students at Temple College taking courses, some are required to do internships, but not all programs require internships. You've heard of our nurses and our sonographers and those folks having to go over and do clinicals at the hospital. Those are required internships. But we also have internships in our computer programs, our business programs, and our accounting programs. And so, hey Thomas. And so we are really fortunate to have interns that will come and do their internship with us at the foundation. So they're getting 4 to 8 weeks, and we require that they do an actual project so that it isn't just a come and do community service, come volunteer. There's actually a product that they're responsible for and something that they're required to submit at the end of their internship so that they have something that they can add to their portfolio and we have something we can actually use as a product. And then finally, we have volunteers. And this is probably the amazing thing for me. It's not unusual for a nonprofit to have volunteers. We all operate off of those. But when we get student volunteers, these are people that don't qualify for our work-study program primarily, or they can't do work-study because they have full-time jobs or full-time families and they can't give that much time. They decide that they will come in and volunteer, and we again give them projects, and you'll hear from one of our volunteers today. And for them, it's an opportunity to network, it's an opportunity to build a skill set, and an opportunity to give back. Lots of our volunteers have taken advantage of the Leopard Loan Program or one of our scholarships, and they're grateful and feeling a need to kind of stay involved and do something, and they're probably not in a position to financially help out the foundation at that point in time. One of the big parts of our program involves a tremendous amount of training. So every student worker that comes in is given an initial interview, and that interview is much more than a question answer, what can you do? It really is looking at developing an individualized plan for every single student worker. It looks at what their degree program is, it looks at what their special area of interest is, and it looks at what their growth area is, meaning what do they want to do when they graduate from Temple College. And so we try and build those skills or give them some kind of opportunity to utilize what they're learning in a real work environment. On top of that, we then offer a weekly, we demand a weekly training. They have to come to training every week for a full hour, sometimes 2, depending on what the training is. We have prescribed curriculum that we use for that. We have a training calendar for that. They attend those trainings, and each week they go through an evaluation, where they are on their individual plan and how they're meeting their goals. And it's their opportunity to say, I wish I could do more of this. I think I've mastered this. I'm ready to move on. I'm working on this in school, and I want some expertise with that. And a lot of that for us, they'll come and ask, I need more work on Excel. Or can you show me how you're doing PowerPoint? Or Jennifer does those Prezis, how do I do Prezis? And so it's just really kind of expanding their knowledge and giving them an opportunity to ask for more. And the great thing about the foundation is we have our fingers in a whole bunch of pies. And so there are an awful lot of things for our students to be working on. Within the IT department, we actually have them doing web management of our own website. We have them doing software development. They were working on that for the Bike Share program. We have them doing network administration. We run a full network at the foundation office, and we have our students that are helping us to run that. Within the administration department, they're doing some clerical jobs depending on where they are when they come in. We always ask them, what could you do, feet on the ground first day, and then where are we going to grow you? So sometimes it does start with you can file because you know your alphabet. That's a good place to start, but we got to get you to the next step. All of our students do some form of cleaning and maintenance, and our bike program is run completely by students. The bike maintenance is done completely by students. And then our marketing and our PR, they are doing everything from event management to graphic design and video production. They're doing all of our software programs that we have access to. We teach them and get them up and running on those things as well. The program components that we're looking for from this grant is we are at a point now where we've hired so many of these student workers, interns, and volunteers. We're running an extra 20 people a day through the foundation in employment. And it's an awful lot. We're a small shop. We have 4 full-time employees, and all of us are fairly busy doing what we're supposed to be doing. And so we are looking to hire one of our past student workers, somebody who's been through our program, and move them into a full-time position to manage the student workers. They would manage the training, they would manage the task distribution, they would be doing some of the project management. It's been really exciting. We've had students that have been with us for over a year now, a year and a half, some of them. And it's our opportunity to move them up to the next level as well. And I think it says an awful lot that we've trained them so well, we want to hire them ourselves. But we need somebody that can manage the student worker program. So that's the project goal at this point. Whoop, whoa. That was fast. And really, I want to kind of end with letting you listen to I don't know what I'm doing. Letting you listen to some of the students that have gone through the program and are involved in it, and what their story is, how they became connected to the foundation, and what their positions are. So if I can introduce Philip Reichert first. Philip is currently working with us this summer, and I'm going to let you just tell your story there.
Yes, hi, I'm Philip Reichert, and I started with the Temple College Foundation about a year ago, and since then I've been able to work as a student worker and find out all the different things that the foundation does for the students. One of them happens to be something that's called a Leopard Loan, and that gives what the foundation does is help students stay in class, and they help them by giving them financial assistance through their financial aid, and that's been very helpful for a person like me. And then also they give housing scholarships. I was in a less than desirable housing situation when I first started here, and that enabled me to get out of that situation and really focus on the books and the classes. And there's several events that we do every year that all the student workers participate in, and that's the golf tournament and the bike program, and then we also do Kings and Queens of Cuisine, and several others that help fund and keep the foundation going. And that's probably about all I've got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reichert.
Good afternoon. My name is Annie Malone, and I've had the privilege of working with Jennifer for the past 6 months. I am not a student worker. I'm a volunteer. I contacted her after a seminar that I went to on Get a Job, Keep a Job. 17 years ago, I graduated high school. Not knowing what I wanted to do with my life, I decided just to start a family. After that, didn't quite work out for me. I went back to school. Jennifer has been an inspiration in this struggle of continuing my education. I wasn't quite sure how I was going to fit into Temple College. Being in my 30s, I wasn't one of the younger kids. I wasn't really outgoing. I didn't want to participate in any groups. Meeting her brought a lot out of me. She has inspired me to do so much more. I am now the secretary for the Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society. I just had lunch with her and her literature review club. It's an amazing opportunity just to know her and to have her build you up to something more than you ever thought you could possibly be. And thank you for your opportunity.
Are there any questions I can answer from any of you about the program or what we're looking to do with it?
What are you looking to do for it?
We want to continue to expand. One of the things that's happening is every time a student comes to us for a Leopard loan, we go through a budget seminar with them and we teach them some personal finances and responsible using their money that they do have. And one of the things that typically comes up is they're having a hard time finding jobs. And so we will say, you know, are you getting financial aid? Invariably, yes. And so we look at student work options, and we've got a really robust program. And so we turn away student workers every semester because we just can't handle as many as we would like to have. So we would like to expand the number of people that we're able to serve. Like I said, we serve about 20 a semester, which is huge. And we'd like to be able to do more. The other thing that we've started doing is we have other companies calling us and asking, do you have somebody that can do this? Do you have somebody that can do that? Either internships or they're hiring. Gersbach, Niemeyer, Gersbach, Franklin, all those guys, they've hired one of our employees and they literally call us and say, do you have somebody that would work for us? We sent somebody over, they interviewed, hired her, and she's been in place for, I think, 8 months now, so she's doing great. We have Tyler Germstead came to town and is starting an insurance agency, and he says, do you have somebody that would fit this sort of model? We sent over 2 students, and they've hired one of them. So one of the things is we're beginning to get a lot of requests from the community. Do you have people that you can feed? And so we want to keep that funnel going. We just need help making sure that we can manage the numbers that we've got. Thank you.
Tremendous program. Thank you.
It's fun. I'll say that. Other questions? Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jen.
Do you want me to get my check at the door, or should I?
You know, it's in the mail.
It's in the mail. Thank you very much.
And now if we'd have Keep Temple Beautiful, we have Tanya Gray and Thomas Baird's here, and Pat Patterson's here, and
All right. Very good. Sorry. The microphone is
right in front of you. You don't have to.
you're good.
Oh, it's okay. All right, very good. Can y'all hear? Thank you very much. Mr. Mayor, council members, I appreciate the opportunity to come speak to y'all again. I'm coming on behalf of Keep Temple Beautiful, which is one of those organizations I have a passion for. I also have a passion for the Temple College Foundation and Jennifer, all the good stuff you do, and everything she said is true. But the thing that you have to do is you're having to deal with many organizations that do good things in our community. And you have to have the wisdom of Solomon, and you have to have sometimes I think you have to have the money-saving characteristics of Scrooge. I mean, you got to put those two together because you've got to keep your budget in place and you got to do good in our community, and I know that. And so with that in mind, I come to you once again on behalf of Keep Temple Beautiful and asking for funding to continue our program. The city has done a wonderful job over the last decade in funding our organization. We could not have done anything without the city's help. Providing space, providing resources, relationships with the city, becoming partners in many things we do. Because of that, we've been able to do a number of projects. We've raised money in the community. We've planted trees. We've done cleanups. We've done recycling. We've done hazardous waste. We've done litter control and prevention. And because of all the things we've done, we have done something that very few other cities in our state have done. We've won the Governor's Award 3 times in the last decade. We may be the only city in the state that I'm aware of that's actually done that. And we've done it in several different categories. And we recently were told that we've won it again. In fact, we're going June 16th for the awards banquet in Fort Worth, $270,000. We've won from the governor's office nearly $750,000 in the last 10 years, all of which will be used for projects in our community and TxDOT's property. And as I've heard many of you say, and Jonathan say on several different occasions, sometimes we think half the streets in Temple are TxDOT streets. So there's lots of places that we can do that. That money has been used for signage. It's been used as seed money for grants, for other projects in our community. And we have gotten use of that money many times more than the actual funds that we've received from TxDOT. And so it's something we're very proud of. We are, other than our executive director, we're totally a volunteer organization. We have many partners throughout the community, and we work with all aspects, east, west, north, south, with the corporate and with individuals. We work with the city, we work with the county, we work with anybody who wants to do something to make our community more attractive. Recently, we've seen that there's a move afoot in our community to change the look and feel of our community. It's evidenced by the passage of the Parks Bond proposal, which I think is going to revolutionize and change the look and feel of our community. There's a lot of very positive discussions about that. In the last 10 years, we've changed the mindset of people. And you hear people talking about why it's important to have a quality of place and quality of life and have a community that looks good, feels good. We've learned that from economic development that as people from the outside come here and they look at our city, and in many respects they say, you know, Temple's a great city, but its standards are not high enough. We need to make sure that you have the look and feel of what a modern 21st century does. And the city has stepped up, our business community has stepped up, a lot of the home builders have stepped up, a lot of business people have stepped up, and they're beginning to change the look and feel of our community. And that has come about in large part because there's been a champion. And that champion has been Keep Temple Beautiful and its board of directors and the hundreds of volunteers that have supported it. And all that has been made possible because of the generosity of the city council in this program. And we would ask for support. Y'all have been very generous in the past. We have new demands. We have people who are trying to hire our people because they've seen the good job that we've done. Our executive director, Tanya Gray, is the only only city affiliate on the state board, and has actually come and been asked to participate and help teach other keep whatever City Beautiful programs out there, because we have a reputation of being one of the leaders in the state for that sort of thing. And so Tanya's been an integral part of that. She's become a leader. She's recognized across the state. And because of that, we have other people who are trying to take her away from us. So far, we've been able to hang on to her, but we couldn't do that without your funding of our program. We have a number of major projects that are coming up that we're looking for with all the things, all the construction in our community. We're hoping to go back with TxDOT and help to continue to raise the bar and fill in the gaps in our community for the look and feel, so we have a 21st century city that when people drive through, they go, wow, what's happened to Temple? It just looks better, it feels better, the people are more proud of what's going on, and the discussion has actually changed in the last decade, and that's because of the city's commitment and because of KTB and all of our partners. And we want to be able to continue to do that because the job is not done. We can't finish the job unless we have funding to do that. We're committed to doing that. We will continue to be a good partner and be faithful in what we do, and we continue to be faithful and be accountable to you each year as we come back. And we're making a big stretch this year. We're actually asking that you increase our funding to $80,000. And with that, we have just administrative costs, we have staffing costs, we have project costs, things that we just need. I will tell you that if you do decide to fund us at that level, that the money will be spent in a very prudent way, and it will be leveraged many times over with grants and contributions from others in the community. It's just critical, and so that's a request, and I hope that you honor it to the extent that you can. And most importantly, I want to say thank you for your support, because we could not have done any of this without your willingness and your trust in us to do the right thing and make our community better. And I mean that sincerely from the bottom of my heart. And so I'll be glad to ask any questions, answer any questions, again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Thomas. Council, any questions?
And if I can just say a few words, we really appreciate the funding from the City of Temple. We're growing more in our programs and in our projects. And so with that said, the community is asking us for more. And we can't do much if it's just one person in my office. I'm trying, but it's very difficult. And so we have so much and such a need in the city for our environmental programs. And we have a lot of partners, and we're growing with those partners as well. And so with that said, there is a need for beautification and community development within the City of Temple. And we do that, and we do it well. And so beautification equals to economic development. And so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to continue the vitality of this particular city, and we do it with Keep Temple Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
I'd like to just say that it has been an experience working with Keep Temple Beautiful. And the work that we've been able to do is also utilize our tool truck of the city. So that's been exciting, and can just see a lot of difference, and there's a lot more demand that we're getting from the neighbors, different neighborhoods that are wanting to do the same because it's catching on. And so I believe our city is ready for the next move, and so they've done a great job at my eyes anyway. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you all. All right. Do we have anybody from Ronald McDonald House here yet? All right. How about Temple Housing Authority? You want anything?
I still got some over.
Well, good afternoon. It's Barbara Bozon, Central Texas Housing Consortium, and our grant request is for $15,559.35. So this is to fund our Junior Einstein Club and to replace 8 computers at our Rose Hall Residence Center. And that is composed of both CDBG funds and the CEG funds that are available. This would be an expansion of our current program as far as the computers are concerned, and then it would be a new program as the educational component. This is our mission statement, and of course providing affordable housing is our primary focus, but what this grant would help us do is fulfill the second part of that, which is providing programs that help low-income persons advance in society, replacing our outdated computers in our lab, and providing educational experiences for our youth to alleviate barriers to education would help us accomplish that part of our mission. This is Rose Hall. I know several of you have been there before. It's our community center. It's a great location for us because it's located very close to a lot of our apartments. And you see Francis Graham Hall, which is one of our high-rises right behind it. So it's a good place for us to have activities. Inside the building, we do have an activity room that we use and a large kitchen as well. All types of events, health fairs, job fairs, weekly social events for the elderly. We do nutrition classes, after-school tutoring, holiday celebration, wellness events, and employee events there as well. And then we have other entities that will come in and use it as well, which include like Baylor Scott and White has done their Matter for Balance there. Head Start does their graduation there, and then ARP and the VITA program do their tax preparation there. And then many of the topics that we're proposing for our Junior Einstein Club would be held here as well. Our Junior Einstein Club would be summer science camps. It helps educate youth through a series of learning experiences that will engage thinking, conversation, problem solving. They'll do hands-on experiments, interact with peers, They'll learn from guest speakers, take field trips to local colleges and universities. And this is a critical need for our youth because it's been shown that children who live in low-income households typically do not have exposure to summer learning experiences and to college field trips as much as their peers would. The tours help the youth understand that higher education is available and accessible, and the education portion provides exposure to the lesson topics and/or promote retention of learned material from their school year. Examples would be they'll be learning about geology, why airplanes fly, what's forensic science, and then a class on grossology, which is edible slime. So, most important. So, this is our computer lab, which is also in that same building. We have computer classes and GED classes that are ongoing there. And although the primary users of this lab are our residents, we do have a lot of community members that use it as well. And United Way is one of our partners. They do the VITA program, which is a voluntary income tax assistance, and then ARP does it for tax preparation as well. This current tax season that just finished, they completed over 750 tax returns there for free, and they were able to get over $950,000 in earned income tax credits and refunds for community members. And we estimate that saved those people as well about $75,000 in fees that they would have had to pay tax preparation firms to do this. They have been using, of course, the new computers that we have put in there, the 10, and they are no longer able to use the older computers because the software is not updated enough. So United Way does provide the personnel that come in and do that on a voluntary basis several times a week. We provide the facility, the computers, the all-important coffee, and then, of course, any computer supplies that they need, paper, ribbons, ink, et cetera, that they need for that. And then also our computer instructor, which is Mark Sear. You might recognize him. He also works for the City of Temple because he does programs and classes at the Salmon Center. He also teaches at Temple College computer classes, and he's expressed concern about the older computers too, because it's just not very easy to teach. These are computers that the remaining 8 are 2007 and older, so they do need to be upgraded. So $10,000 of our request is to replace the remaining computers there. And then if we are not funded the whole amount, we would reduce the number of computers purchased and scale back a little bit on the youth activities that we would do. So this would mean probably about 150 families less would be served through the tax program, which would be $15,000 in fees they would have to pay. And then, of course, our children wouldn't have the educational experiences and help them with their school. So that is our program. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Council, any questions? Oh, thank you.
All right, thank you.
We want to hear more about the edible slime at some point, so.
Well, I'll send you an invitation.
Yeah, oh, I can't wait. Lacey, don't lose that one. Ronald McDonald House.
I've been here before, y'all know me now. This is Mark Cermak, he's our accountant.
You ran your brother off.
Huh?
I said you ran your brother off.
Did it on purpose.
My name is Susan Bolton. I'm the Executive Director at the Ronald McDonald House in Temple. This is Mark Cermak. He is the accountant, and he keeps us in line as far as the money goes. And to tell you the truth, he has done the work on this, and I'd rather him talk, but you don't want to?
Real shy.
He's a Yankee. Anyway,
Came along to watch and learn, but
we are asking for $28,000. Among the things that we're trying to do, we need to replace the carpet in the house. Our house is, for those of you who don't know, started out at 7,500 square feet back in 1986. It's now 22,500 square feet. And we put new carpet in and stuff, and with all the people who come through it, like 11,000 people a year, it really gets destroyed. And There's a section of the house where if you walk in there, you smell the carpet. And we clean it at least twice a year, maybe more, and it still is a bad smell. We have kids and dirty adults and all kinds of stuff. Even though we try to clean it, it just doesn't get clean. This would really help our budget if we could get y'all to pay for at least a part of the carpet. You gave us money last year to buy to buy food for the families, and that was very helpful because we don't provide food as such, but we have food that the families can prepare and have their kind of food, their comfort food. But we also have food that's brought in by other people, and so that helps the families tremendously. Want to add something?
Just the carpet, yeah, is in bad shape, and it would free up a lot of budget money to fund the operations of the house if we could get this grant. The carpets are in pretty bad shape, and we feel carpet's pretty important. Provides a nice, comfortable atmosphere. Clean carpet is just more sanitary. We like to. There's a lot of families that go through there, so we would like to provide the safest and most comfortable environment that we could.
For those of you who don't know, the Ronald McDonald House provides a home away from home for families who have seriously ill children receiving medical treatment at area hospitals. Sonia Jeanette was on our board at one time, and she's shaking her head. She knows what's going on. We had our golf tournament Monday. Some of y'all were there. It was lovely. The weather held out just great, and that makes a lot of money for us, but it doesn't make enough money to help to finance the house. And some people, even people who work for McDonald's, think, well, doesn't McDonald's just write you a check? That would be nice, but having McDonald's as a supporter is a double-edged sword, because people think that, when in reality they don't do that. They do help us, but not anywhere near what people think they do. Anything else? Y'all, huh?
Questions? Or?
No, thank y'all.
Thank you.
Do we have anybody from the orchestra here? Is O'Banion?
They're on their way.
Okay. Then we'll go on with the United Way, if that's all right. Not you? Well, that.
Sorry to disappoint.
Well, it's all right. Well, I think we'll get through it.
My name is Allie McMillan. I am a community programs coordinator for the United Way. Unfortunately, James Thurston, our executive director, is unable to be here. He had a family emergency and is out of the state. So I have some of my coworkers here. If you guys have any questions that I'm unable to answer, we are going to take some notes and get that information from James should it arise. All right. So payday lending is a big issue in this area, and we're looking at an alternative loan program. Those who utilize payday or auto title loans are often aware of the rates and terms of repayment prior to initiating the loan. Through word of mouth or community education, many are aware of the fees associated and the issues caused by refinancing, the increase in fees. One may wonder why these businesses continue to flourish with such a reputation. The population most likely to utilize these loans are often underbanked with no credit or poor credit. For this population, banks and credit unions do not have a small dollar financial product available. They often do not have the income or credit to receive long-term loans. And they do not have the assets needed to make ends meet should a vehicle break down or they encounter unexpected medical expenses. While stricter regulations on such loan types is necessary, currently this group has nowhere else to turn in an emergency. The United Way of Central Texas believes the solution to the problem is an employer-based, small, short-term consumer loan program. According to Texas Appleseed, and I provided some of that data as a handout, which I sent in, there are approximately 51 lender storefronts within the Killeen-Temple metropolitan area. For payday or auto title loan borrowers, the average payment for a $500 two-week single payment payday loan with no refinancing is $613. For a family needing an emergency $500, to be able to repay $613 the next week is unfeasible. They have to refinance. In this area, with nearly 56% of borrowers refinancing, they do it on average nearly 4 times. For that initial $500 loan, that means they're paying about $1,064 total in fees and interest. A new loan type that's just entered into the market is installment loans. These are similar, but use a longer repayment term. However, they increase the fees on these. So for every dollar, they're paying about $1.30 in fees plus the interest. For that single $500 installment loan, they're paying approximately $1,006 over 6 months. Auto title loans in the Killeen-Temple metropolitan area result in approximately 14 cars repossessed per week due to defaults. The lack of reliable transportation hinders the employability of the individual, further damaging their financial stability. Temple is especially affected by this problem. From this building alone, there are 2 locations on Central, and from here to from here to the freeway on Adams, you pass 13 predatory lending sites. It's 1.2 miles. The model that we're proposing uses affordable small dollar loans from $400 to $1,000, which are repaid through workplace payroll deduction programs. Borrowers can take out a 12-month loan with an 18% interest rate, and on that $1,000, they're paying under $100 a month back. There's no prepayment penalty, and unlike other loan types, repayment is reported to credit bureaus, so they can increase their credit score and increase their credit ability in the future. The program works through relationships with other local employers. Employers work with the United Way of Central Texas to offer the small dollar loan program as an employee benefit. It costs the employers nothing. The employees are able to apply for the loan online, and then the information is sent to the employer for verification. Typically, employees need to be employed for 3 months, and then they're eligible throughout the state. There's other pilot programs that use that model. We're talking about following that same requirement. Once Human Resources has verified the employee's eligibility, payroll deduction is set up through the employer for repayment and loans are dispersed. We will be using an existing model and software which automatically interfaces to create ease of use. The United Way of Central Texas already utilizes payroll deduction for employers for workplace campaigns. So we begin with the employers and organizations using this model and grow it from there. We plan to offer this program initially to Baylor Scott & White, HEB, McLean Company, Wilson-Art, Belton and Temple Independent School Districts, and the City of Temple. We will then grow the program to other organizations running a workplace campaign and our community partners, and then offer it to any employer in this city or the region. Enrolling in the program is simple for both businesses offering this benefit to their employees and for the employees themselves. As a business, enrollment involves signing a memorandum of understanding and then scheduling an appointment for someone in payroll to learn how to do the payroll deductions. That's it. Someone's water's down here. The training takes no more than a few hours to complete and set up all the fully automated payroll deduction system. Employers are not responsible for repayment should an employee leave the company or default on the loan. And the system was created to allow the payroll deduction to happen automatically, so we're not investing a lot of employee time into facilitating. For the loan applicant, the application is completely online. It takes approximately 10 to 15 minutes. They're asked their social security number, driver's license number, employer information, a couple of references. No credit scores pulled, and no collateral is required. And then pending the employment verification, the funds are deposited directly into their accounts within 24 to 48 hours. Repayment on the loan begins with the employee's next pay period. Participants in the small dollar loan program will be invited to participate in the financial literacy courses already being offered. We're using the FDIC Money Smart curriculum through community partners and ourselves for the United Way SOAR Collaborative. Loan borrowers are eligible for financial coaching, long-term case management services, and credit counseling. Once the loan has been repaid, participants, if eligible, may participate in the United Way SOAR Collaborative to begin saving for the purchase of an asset such as a home or education. That's a match savings program that we're doing for a 2-year program. Individuals put money into a specialized account, and we match the money that they have deposited with local money and federal money. They're able to utilize the volunteer income tax assistance, and employees without health insurance, like part-time employees, will get information on and be invited to meet with certified marketplace navigators to discuss health insurance. A successful self-sustaining pilot model for the community loan small dollar program requires $110,000. Of this, $100,000 will go directly to the loan pool. $10,000 goes into the software needed to create the program, to use the online application and the automatic payroll deduction system. By marketing this employment as an employee benefit and utilizing payroll deductions, the model has a 95% repayment achievement rate. This is far greater than the industry standard. Utilizing a largely software-based program, we're able to cut down on administrative costs, which means that all money received from the fees and the interest rates goes directly back into the repayment pool. So an employee applies for the loan, the money is dispersed, they repay it, and it goes right back in, creating a self-sustaining program that should last for the remainder of the program. The United Way of Central Texas has committed $30,000 for this, and we'll cover that initial software, and what we're looking for is match to provide money for the pool for the loans. Does anyone have any questions?
Program.
I just know that payday loans have been discussed, and it's been a major concern in our community because of the exportation of a lot of low-income and hard-working people. And so this sounds like it's something we should, be looking at it at least. And it's good because there's an alternative. I don't believe at this point there's any alternative. If a person really is in a jam and they need to borrow some money, at this point they're forced to go to wherever they can to get the loans. So appreciate United Way taking the lead on this.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Temple Symphony Orchestra.
You guys are really moving fast today.
We are. It's amazing. This never
It's
happens,
pretty
so we're
amazing.
kind of excited about it.
Yeah, I bet you are. Temple Symphony Orchestra is grateful to have a chance to apply for the City of Temple CEG funds. And we just want to say thank you for this opportunity. Funding from this grant would help to provide our mission, which is to entertain, to educate, and to enrich the cultural life of Temple, Texas, and Central Texas. The symphony was founded in 1994, and the program began with a holiday concert. This year we will mark our 22nd year, and so things have really progressed a long way from that original holiday concert. Mr. Thomas Fairley is the conductor of the orchestra, as well as the director of the Fine Arts Department at Temple College. He first created the concert in 1994. We received our nonprofit status in 1997. We currently employ between 75 and 90 professional musicians from the Central Texas area. Some of these musicians are local music teachers that work in our public school systems and in our local colleges. The symphony's professional staff are all part-time. We have a part-time conductor, which is Thomas Fairley. I'm the executive director, Jan Salzman, and we have 3 other partners in our personnel manager is James Flowers, technical director is Michael Morris, and our music librarian is Brent Caldwell. We are supported by 15 members on our volunteer board who are not paid, and the symphony performs at Temple College's Mary Alice Marshall Performing Arts Center. The current program includes the first program will be featured the Fascinating Tales by Bach. Then we have our Van Cliburn Piano Recital, which is a collaborative effort between Georgetown Symphony, Central Texas Orchestral Society, and Temple Symphony. We then have our holiday concert, our family pops, and then our finale is always a large musical program. The Coronation by Mozart will be the last performance for this next year. This next graph illustrates the growth of the concert seasons, and we are very pleased that we have increased attendance over the last 2 years, and a lot of that being just getting the word out. We just recently have a person in Salado that is writing a magazine and helps us to get the word out about our concerts. So we're real pleased with that. One of the best parts of the Temple Symphony Orchestra, besides the orchestra, is our outreach program, which is an educational program that goes out into the public schools to work originally with fourth graders, but since we have targeted that, some of the schools have asked that we come to the junior high as well. There are a number of studies that show that students who play a musical instrument perform better in school, especially in mathematics. And some of the schools have requested this program to continue, which we're hoping we'll be able to have the funds to do that. We want to expand the program to include Central Texas Housing Consortium, because many of the folks that live at the Housing Consortium are not able to get out and come to the college for the performances, nor would they have the funds. So that's part of our expansion for our outreach program. Currently, the quartet plays a performance after they started with dance, where they would show an illustration of dance from a time period that a music piece was written, and then they would play a piece of music that went along with the time period that the dance. Now they are going through and using art, such as Monet's Water Lilies, and they play a piece of music such as Ravel to show the same elements from the Impressionistic period, when both composers and artists alike were in that same vein of entertainment. The quartet is very happy with what they've been doing, and they enjoy going out and doing these educational programs, and they look forward to an expanded season. We also have an outreach program that we perform before our concerts, at every concert, which is a prologue by Steve Pettit, who's a local musician here in town, and he presents about a 30 to 45-minute explanation of the composer's life, the period of music that was written during that time, and the little tidbits about the composer, he or she, and he shares very entertaining stories. It's good for adults as well as children. It's been very well received. This is a chart that shows the income sources from 2014 to 2015, and you probably will notice that the largest piece there is 32% from Georgetown concerts. We have been in partnership with Georgetown Symphony since 1994. The cost of performing in Georgetown is relatively low, since most of the rehearsals are paid before the concert, and the Temple Symphony Orchestra performs on Saturday night and then goes to Georgetown on Sunday afternoon. So the funds that we get from Georgetown represent 32%. City of Temple represents 8%. The TSO budget for 2015-16 is as shown on the chart. Our biggest expense, of course, is our contractual musicians. The second largest expense is our 20% of our budget goes to our part-time staff. And the rest is either in supplies, marketing, publicity, printing, things like that. Okay. The last piece is the grant request is for $30,000, which is about 12% of our budget for next year. It would help to offset an audit that we are needing to do, and it would be able to help with our performance, at least the first 2 performances of our year. Does anyone have any questions?
Council, any questions? Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Holtzman, and thanks for coming early. We didn't know it was going to happen this way. Counselor, is there anything else? Anybody else want any money that would like to just come up and randomly talk? Really, we're not. Sorry. That being said, we will stand adjourned at 3:41, and we'll be back at 5 for our regularly scheduled meeting. Thanks so much. Regular meeting of the Temple City Council for Thursday, May 21st, 2015. Please rise as Dr. Ken Ritchie with First Presbyterian Church leads us in the invocation, followed by our Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Buford Craig, the Transformation Temple Coordinator for the city.
Let's pray. O God, who breathes life into all creation, redeems all creation through Jesus Christ, sustains all creation in love, who gives hope not for what was, but what will be, whose perfect love casts out all fear. Blow through this room and this community with the courage to do justice, to love kindness, to walk humbly with you. Blow through this room and this community with the wisdom to pursue truth, and peace, and wholeness, inclusion. Blow through this room and this community with the compassion to ensure that none are forgotten, ignored, or pushed aside. We give you thanks this night. Seek your blessing and mercy upon those who serve this community in law enforcement and fire and rescue. Empower them in their devotion to do right. Protect them in times of danger. Enable them in their commitment to protect and serve all people of this community. And at all times, comfort and strengthen their families. O God, who promises a day when things will be on earth as they are in heaven, hasten that day when weapons of war are made into instruments of life. We remember and give thanks for those who have given their lives in the service of our country. When the need was greatest, they stepped forward and did their duty to defend the freedoms that we enjoy and to win the same for others. Oh God, you yourself have taught us that no love is greater than that which gives itself for another. The ones honored this weekend gave the most precious gift they had, life itself, for loved ones and neighbors, for comrades in country, and for us. Help us honor their memory by caring for the family members they have left behind, by ensuring that their wounded comrades are properly cared for, by being watchful caretakers of the freedoms for which they gave their lives, and by demanding that no other young men and women follow them to a soldier's grave unless the reason is worthy and the cause is just. Never let us forget those who paid so terrible a price to ensure that freedom would be our legacy. Though their names may fade with the passing of generations, may we never forget what they have done, and help us to be worthy of their sacrifice. To you be all glory and honor today and every day, through Jesus Christ, in the power of the Holy Spirit, one God, now and forever. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in reciting the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you both. Now is the opportunity for public comments. Citizens who desire to address the council on any matter may do so prior to this meeting. Public comments will be received during this portion of the meeting. Please limit comments to 3 minutes. No discussion or final action will be taken by the City Council. I have Chris McGregor wishing to speak.
Chris McGregor of 2806 Wickersham Drive, Temple, Texas, 76502. Would like to ask the council if they would consider my portion that's involved here to be moved to the next council meeting. I've been in the hospital for 4 days with a major left blood clot. I just got out. I went into the ER Saturday, and I'm on Coumadin and all kinds of medications, and not really comfortable at speaking, but if it has to be tonight, it has to be tonight. but if it could be moved, I would really appreciate it.
Can we just table it to the next meeting? Is that all right? We'd be happy to, Mr. McGregor.
Thank you.
You bet.
Mayor, when you get to that item, we'll just do a vote.
Okay. Perfect. Bobby and Chester Thompson.
Hello, everyone. Mayor Dunn, Judy, and the city council members. Mayor Dunn, we thank you for the proclamation that was given at Chester's 91st birthday party. I see the vacant lot at the 1100 block on the MLK has been mowed. Judy, that was a great job over there on 16th Street, Luna Lane, and 14th Street by Jeff Hamilton Park. Also, please let us know about the next cleanup because we want to be a part of it. We love East Temple. Today, Chester and I removed 7 signs about the Vote Yes project. That was a success. Thanks for all the hard work you all do in East Temple. God bless everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Mr. J.D. Zepner.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, council, citizens and residents of Temple, good evening. I'm here tonight to speak about Bell County tax appraisal property on the east side of Temple. There's quite a few lots left in the east side of Temple that are vacant and grown up with tires. Last year at this time, grass was probably about yay high and higher with tires and debris in a lot of these lots. Most of these lots has been cleaned up now, thanks to the city of Temple. And I was just wondering if we could be able to keep that up and keep these lots clean and up to date. And what I'm here tonight is to ask if the city council and the city of Temple would consider to start putting some of these lots up on the auction block or put them in a collective unit and put them on the real estate market just like other real estate properties in Temple. Some of these properties are very nice lots with big trees and good locations. They're just old and dilapidated of time, and we need to try to get some stuff happening over there on the east side of Temple. And one thing I think would help out a lot if we could put these lots up on market. There's a lot of real estate companies that got their signs on properties over there on the east side of Temple, but no one really wants to mess with them because of the grown-up parts of the other lots of Bell County tax appraisal property. The one incentive I would see to help out growth on East Temple, if we could start looking at homeowners' rights, landowners' property rights, landlord rights to make profit, and renters' rights, small business rights, and big business rights. We need to come together with some kind of package program that would put all of these lots together so we can start building up the community over there again to get it back into a full stage as a whole of Temple instead of just being a money pit with nothing happening over there. So tonight I would consider it, if y'all would consider to put these lots on the market with the real estate company or some other form or fashion of trying to get these lots sold. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Setner.
Good evening.
Item 3, we will recognize Public Works Week. Is there anyone here from the Public Works Department? Okay. Who is running the city right now? Nicole, would you come up and Actually, if you're with the Public Works Department, if you don't mind standing up, because y'all do a tremendous job, and you take care of us like all the time. So if we could just give everybody a round of applause. The 6 of us that are left in the audience want to applaud you. But if I could read this proclamation, and I will then keep it, because I'm going to come out to see y'all tomorrow, and I'll read it again if that's okay. Whereas the public works infrastructure, facilities, and services are of vital importance to sustainable communities and to the health, safety, and well-being of the citizens of the City of Temple. Whereas such facilities and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals, engineers, and administrators who are responsible for building, operating, and maintaining the public works systems essential to serve our citizens. The support of an understanding and informed community is critical to the efficient operation of public works programs such as solid waste and recycling services, traffic signal, drainage, streets, fleet services, engineering, water treatment and distribution systems, and wastewater collection and treatment facilities. Whereas the health, safety, and comfort of the citizens of the City of Temple greatly depends on these facilities and services, and whereas this year's theme is Community Begins Here, which speaks to the essential nature of public works services and support of everyday quality of life. Now therefore I, Daniel A. Dunn, Mayor of the City of Temple, Texas, do hereby proclaim the week of May 17th through 23rd, 2015, as Public Works Week in the City of Temple, Texas. And I urge all citizens to pay tribute to our public works professionals and to recognize the substantial contributions they have made to our health, safety, welfare, and quality of life throughout the City of Temple and the world. In testimony whereof, I witness my hand and the seal of the City of Temple, Texas, this the 21st day of May, 2015. And Nicole, would you like to say a few things?
Sure.
All right.
Be happy to. Thank you, Mayor and Council. I really just want to say thank you to really our community for being so supportive and understanding with the growth of the community and keeping everything up. We've got so many dedicated folks out there on the ground every day who are providing the water, providing those streets for you to be on, taking away your trash, doing our capital projects. So really, so much effort is being put out there to provide service to our community. And on behalf of our professionals that work every day, day in, day out, we've been out this week in our schools educating the youth of our community on public works professions. So I want to just recognize everybody for the hard work and dedication. Thank all y'all. And with that, we've got a few things for those folks off the dais. And I certainly look forward to seeing all of you tomorrow at our awards ceremony. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right. Thank you all very much. You don't know how much the Public Works Department is appreciated when you have 102-degree fever and your sewer backs up, and it's not your fault. So I want to thank all of you, because y'all are fantastic. Item 4 is the consent agenda. All items listed under this section, the consent agenda, are considered to be routine by the City Council and may be enacted by one motion. If discussion is desired by the council, any item may be removed from the consent agenda at the request of any council member and will be considered separately. Council, this is item 4A through 4N. Are there any items that you wish to remove for separate consideration or discussion? All right. Being none, I will entertain a motion for items 4A through 4N.
Make a motion for approval.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Madam Secretary.
Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Schneider.
Aye.
Councilmember Morales.
Aye.
Mayor Dunn.
Aye. Item 5, consider adopting a resolution authorizing a change order to the Outer Loop Phase 3A construction contract with R.T. Schneider Construction Company Limited for construction services required to extend sanitary sewer utilities in an amount not to exceed $71,180.
Mayor, we have pulled this item from the consent agenda and put it on the regular agenda just for conflict purposes, but we do have a presentation if you'd like to hear one.
I don't think we need a presentation if everyone's all right with that. All right. there any questions or comments? All right, I will entertain a motion for item 5.
Motion to approve item 5.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Madam Secretary.
Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Schneider.
Abstain.
Councilmember Morales.
Aye.
Mayor Dunn.
Aye. Item 6, which is the second and final reading, consider adopting an ordinance authorizing a conditional use permit for a paint shop / general contractor facility on Lot 2, Block Tranum Subdivision Phase 8, located at 5806 South General Bruce Drive. And this is what was mentioned earlier in public comments. The applicant has asked that this be tabled until the next meeting, and I would entertain a motion to table item 6.
Make a motion to table.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Madam Secretary.
Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Schneider.
Aye.
Councilmember Morales. Mayor Dunn.